Good morning, everyone. So today, I'm playing a little bit earlier than usual. Actually, a lot earlier than usual. Um, Playing some Red Green Breach and finishing off our what is the best Primeval Titan series. Um, so I tweaked this version a little bit from the last one we played. One thing I noticed is Woodfall Primus is a card that I missed a lot. Can often pack for it through the breach, take out a land, or take out something like Leyline, which can really be problematic if you get a Primeval Titan into play and then can't really Valakut them. Beyond that, this is a Through the Breach Valakut deck, which means the 4 Summoners packs, 4 Primeval Titans, 4 Through the Breaches. Notably, one thing missing in the main deck is Scape Shift. This version usually doesn't play it in the main deck, sometimes has it in the sideboard as a additional win con against decks with a lot of removal slash interaction for your combo pieces. So I have chosen to put a couple on the sideboard of this version. That was another thing lacking from the version I played last time, and I was I'm going to say very not thrilled with the end result. In addition to that, you have a couple relics, a couple bolts for interaction. Other than that, you're just trying to get out the fastest through the Breach Primeval Titan as you can. This deck is lacking a lot of the additional accelerators. You used to have the 12 accelerators, plus the 3 Summon Spirit Guides. You're not playing anything like Wood Elves. You're not playing anything like the Prismatic Omen. Some versions do play that, but I find Prismatic Omen, well, it's not a win more card. It doesn't really fit well into what this type of strategy is doing. This deck already, its biggest issue is there's already a lot of air in the deck because of Through the Breach. Because Through the Breach without one of your big idiots, excuse me, is useless pretty much. So this version in that regard has a little more air to it, can be a little bit more clunky, a little bit more mulligan-y than Titan Shift. The trade-off is you are a little bit faster theoretically. You can easily hit a turn 3 Through the Breach into a Primeval Titan by going 1 Accelerator, some Man Spirit Guide into Through the Breach. So turn 3 Titans, those are pretty sick from Amulet Titan or Titan Bloom Titan before. So beyond that, sideboard got a lot of interaction, pretty much slow down other decks that you're not faster than. Lightning Bolt for Swarm decks, Affinity, Counters Company, etc. Ancient Grudges for Affinity and Lantern Control. Anger of the Gods for Swarm decks. Anything from Affinity to Elves to anything like that. Crumbled Dust for the Valakut Mirror Match and Eldrazi Tron. Relic of Progenitus for graveyard decks. Can slow down Death Shadow, can help deal with the Hallowed One decks that are popping up. Reclamation Sage is something you can Summoner's Pack for, is now to Blood Moon, to Leyline of Sanctity, and many other things. You're going to bring this card in a lot when you're suspecting your opponent's doing something like that. Tireless Trackers for grinding matchups, decks like Death Shadow, Blue-White Control, etc. And Scape Shift, pretty much the same thing. You're bringing this in where your opponent might have a lot of discard spells or surgical extractions or things like that. The surgical make it a Valakut piece. So beyond that, Scape Shift is mainly as an additional win con in the matches where you need that. So this morning we're going to be playing a friendly league. So the 3 Valakut, Primeval Titan decks we've played, Red Green Breach, Green Red Scape Shift, and Amulet Titan. This has been the one that I've probably been impressed with the least, but it does have the largest nut draws. So, of course, saying that, I did think I have a turn 4 kill with Titan Shift before, so. And this deck can theoretically, like, mountain, through the breach with the Simian Spirit Guide. Go get 2 Valakutes, go get 2 Mountains. Attack 4. Thanks, Chris, for the auto host. So, beyond that, the deck is a little more vulnerable to drawing air than some of the Titan Shift decks. Once again, because you're so reliant on your Summoner's Packs and your Primeval Titans. Another reason why I wanted to get the Woodfall Primus in the deck, while it's not an auto win or setting you up for an auto win like Primeval Titan, it does either slow your opponent's development down with nuking 2 lands, or can get it's a main deck out to things like Blood Moon too. You can Summoner's Pack through the Breach It. So the other thing is Our Promise can help set you up. It's not quite as clean as Prime Time or Scape Shift, but you can go and get 2 lands, 2 Valakutes, or whatever to set yourself up for a kill, on a coming turn. So I think 3 was too many last time, so hence why I put the Woodfall Primus back into the deck. Alright, wish our opponent good luck. Alright, what does this hand do? Turn 2 that... Yeah, I think we keep his hand. So if our opponent doesn't do anything to disrupt us, which this is modern, we might have one of those turn 3 Titan hands. Oh, Affinity. Quite frankly, looks like we're going to need it. Alright. Affinity, dump their whole friggin' hand. Cool. Land. Alright. So, what we're going to do is play this land, pass the turn. Hope our opponent doesn't have too many whammies. So as is, our opponent really isn't pressuring us a ton, but this Vault Scourge is going to throw things off. Another Ornithopter. Okay, so we fetch up a Cinderglade here. Let's get a Stomping Ground. Alright, so you're going to have to take damage I don't really want to take, just because I want to have the right number of mountains set up. And play out that. Hopefully our opponent continues to be stuck on mana. Yep. Go get a mountain. Play out a mountain. We on delay this morning with this. And opponent's still stuck on lands. Alright, Farseek was not a bad draw, but as it is, mountain. Through the breach. Primeval Titan. Go get 2 Valakutes. Attack. Haunted Mountain. Is there any way we want to kill any of these creatures? Okay, opponent scoops it up, even though they weren't technically dead yet. Alright, so Affinity. Definitely want our interaction. We want the bolts. We want the grudges. We probably want Anger of the Gods. Courser is a little slow against them. So we might be bringing in Blood Moon. We probably want Rex Sage anyway. So what are we cutting here? Because that's a lot of interaction to be bringing in. Maybe shave one through the breach because we really don't want to draw multiples. One Spirit Guide and maybe we're cutting 1 Hour of Promise because we're upping our interaction. We're really not trying to race most of the time, especially on the draw. We did get a little bit lucky there that our opponent had. Alright, so is this hand good enough? So turn 1, suspend search for tomorrow. Especially if our opponent's keeping a 7. I don't know if this is good enough. Yeah, I guess we'll keep it. I mean, if we hit one of our other accelerators, we can tighten on 3 again. I'm presuming if they kept a 7-card hand, it's probably better than their 6-card hand. Yeah, looks like it. Okay, Ancient Grudge is solid. That will allow us to interact with whatever our opponent's big plays are. Especially since I have to shock myself this turn. So next turn, if we don't draw anything, we can interact with them a little bit. Depending on what their big draw is this turn. Alright, what is worst case scenario? I guess cranial plating. Ravager's annoying, but it's not unbeatable. Alright, just yield to that. Okay, so going to pass here. Holding up Grudge if they have something like cranial plating. Yeah, that's not surprising. So we basically get to fog our opponent this turn. Why are you attacking the Ornithopter? That doesn't make much sense. Take care of cranial plating here. We'll get to shift it to Ravager. Yep, that's fun-ish. See what we draw here. Well, not to play the forest, but we might have to. Alright, so use this to go get a Cinderglade, so we don't need to play one of the Awkward. So hold up Grudge so they can't really go all in here. Opal, sure. Go ahead and get the Cinderglade here. Force them to use the Ravager however they're going to use it. All right. Now our opponent has to decide where they want to go with the Ravager counters, and this will somewhat determine how they they're going to put it on one of their normal idiots, it looks like. Guess they're going all in on Ornery Thopter. So Ornithopter is a 6/8, sure. Two, three, four, five, six. So do I play this slow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't really afford to play it slow, so I guess we have to breach this Titan. Yes. Go get a Valakut. Delicate. Seriously, your last card was Dispatch? Alright, well, I guess we're dead. That's kind of annoying. Alright. Touche, touche. Alright. Still think we do the same thing and run it back. So I'd like to play first. Okay, seems reasonable. Yeah, that was one of those, they had to have some type of interaction there or they were just dead. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, from that position, I think we had to use 2 Valakut triggers to kill the, we had to use 2 Valakut triggers to kill their idiot, and then the bolt, and then they were taking 12, and then basically any other mountains dealing them 6. So, see what kind of hand they kept on 6. They keep a no-lander? Huh. Interesting. Well, that Search for Tomorrow would have been great last turn, but as it is, play out this Sakura Tribe Elder and pass. How are you doing this morning, Jesus? See if they're slow rolling a land or if they really kept a... Wow. They kept a real clanker of a hand. Opponent's made a few head scratching. I wonder if they have something like so one of the reasons an opponent would keep a hand like this is something like this is their first match, so man. The only reason I could think you'd keep a hand like this is something. Why are you playing out Mox Opal? You're not going to get an activation off of it. Doesn't work that way, friend. Legend rule hits before you can do anything. I think you'd at least attack with your Web Knight here. Not like I'm hiding a Dryad Arbor up in the All Mountain deck. I don't know. This Affinity player has kept some real head scratchers. Their draw last game was good. They wouldn't have had that dispatch. I think we had that game. So next turn, so we played Primeval Titan, or Pact for Titan. Okay, Sakura Tribe Elder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna Pact for Titan. Grab Primeval Titan. So since I am so far ahead, this is gonna sound really stupid, but I'm gonna grab a Forest and a Valakut. The reason being, Forest, Valakut. The reason being, the way we can lose here, I can lose here, is to some type of Blood Moon effect out of nowhere, not being able to pay for Pact. So since I'm so far ahead, I'm not going to take that risk. Our opponent still only has access to 1 mana here, so I guess they could theoretically have Dispatch here. Okay. Hey, they finally attack with Memnite. So, Anger of the Gods. Go get Trigger upstairs. Yes. Play out. Curve Tribe Elder. And pass. So we won't crack Elder unless we absolutely have to. Alright, so our opponent's finally drawing mana, though I think it's too late. What you got on 2 here, friend? Ravager. Sure. Alright, so Cast Pact. So I could be... Okay. I'm gonna say I could be... Yep. Alright, well, it's always nice to beat Affinity, especially with a deck that's theoretically slower than Affinity. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Playing a little bit of Modern here. Normally I stream much later in the evenings, but went to bed early last night, so here we are, streaming some Through the Breach Titan. This is probably the least consistent of the Valakut decks, but it's probably the most explosive. So, because you have the turn 3 Through the Breach possibility, which in some combinations can just kill your opponent. So, a little bit faster in a broken format like Modern, but... Alright. What does this hand do? So we have 4 packs, 4 Titans, 2 Hour of Promise, 3 draw steps at least. I think we keep his hand. It's a little dangerous, but we have all the acceleration we want. Got a Stomping Ground here. Pass. Misty Rainforest could be a few things. Don't have any reason to crack our Elder right now. Alright, play out our other Elder. Doubt our opponent has any reaction for this. Shock themselves? Spell Snare. Alright, well, I mean, Spell Snare is a card. So, what am I putting my opponent on? Jeskai? Alright, well, turns out it was a good thing we played that Sakura Tribe Elder on one like that. Wasn't even trying to play around. Okay, maybe they're just blue-red Kiki? Or blue-red Breach themselves? Our opponents couldn't Vindilia click us. Oh. Oh. Because Elder Beats are now irrelevant. Once they're below 18, Elder Beats don't matter. Yeah, that's right. You got nothing from us. And now we probably lose. Yep. Alright, so we drew Primute, drew Summoner's Pact. So nothing here that we... I mean, we can pack for Titan and try to cast it, but... Alright. Wow, their hands all burn, it looks like. So we've got to fetch down to 4. This feels bad. Guess maybe we should have gone for Titan last turn. Alright, well, I mean... Play out the forest. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 5. Maybe I should have played out the land, but we're just so vulnerable to... Gotta go for it. I mean, we can be a Spell Pierce. Does that count for anything? Cryptic Command. Seriously. Alright. Blue-red control. So... Huh. So many possibilities. So, Blood Moon's a thing. We don't know if they're on the Pestermite. Don't know if they're on the Pester Mite Kiki plan or if they're on Through the Breach Emrakul plan, both of which have been popping up lately. So it isn't really, as much as this is a control match, it's not really a grindy match, it's more of a tempo match from their side. So how do I... Yeah, tracker seems obvious. I'm just debating how much like interaction I want. Like, do I want the bolts? Do I want... It's like, do I want bolts and Through the Breach, or do I want to slow down and become basically a Titan Shift deck? I think I'll trim some number of Through the Breach. Get the escape shifts in here. Relic is fine, but I don't really want to be fighting over their Snapcaster mages that much. Like, if this was blue-white, I would be more... I like Courser, but... Okay. So, the difference between this and blue-white, or even Jeskai, is they have to go tempo on us to kill us. Which means, like... Theoretically, neither of them have a good Storm matchup. Effectively, what you're doing with Breach is you're trading speed for consistency. What the hell does this hand even do? So without the Woodfall Promise, is this hand a keep? I think the answer is yes. Because they're clearly not going to kill us by turn 3 or turn 4, so we can afford to play a bit of a grindier game. Presuming we don't have counter spells for everything. Well, to be honest, neither deck has a good Storm matchup. The one card that can kind of screw Storm a little bit is... Jesus, I'd agree with you that it's fine, but the problem... I mean, Courser can gain you a little bit of life here or there, but this deck has... Okay, never mind. They are just a... Alright, well, what do we run out here? I really don't want to blow my Reclamation Sage on their search for Azcanta, do I? Well, I mean, we're not really on the Primeval Titan plan anyway, or the Valakut hand with this hand, so we may as well blow up there. I'm going to tap out. Play. The other cards that can shut down Storm is... It's really awkward, but the only time I think I've ever beaten Storm with... Alright, well, let's go to combat first. The only time I've ever beaten Storm with either deck, I think involved there were some... chalices in the board of the deck I was playing. Like the particular list. This is probably going to run right into a counter spell. Oh well. Remand? Link. Sure. So we'll play out the fetch land, but not crack it. Looks like they just might be straight up blue-red tempo. Although, just the way they're playing... Okay. Infect was a thing. Ran chalices in the board. Yeah. Don't want to crack that yet. Let's see. Hopefully they don't have yet another freaking mana leaks of mana leaks here. Jeez. Do I even have anything to pact for right now other than Secure Tribe Elders anymore? Jeez. Okay. Note to everybody, I just made a mistake because if our opponent plays Blood Moon here, we're dead. You know, we make those jokes about opponents having it all, but so far, I mean, opponents had it all. Tech Edge. Yeah. To be fair, any number of things. To be fair, they could just have main phased Tech Edge, though, because there's no way we could get around. Like, we could fetch and fail to find, but then we're dead to our thing anyway, so. Alright, so they can have Snap Mana Leak here. So, do I really want to use my last Summoner's Pact on that? I mean, we're not winning the game by sitting here playing a long game against them, so. And I do need to run them out of counter spells for this Escape Shift to kill them. Do you have another counter spell? Hey, I'm sensing Snapcaster Mana Leak. Oh, just Cryptic Command. Green, green. So anyways, how's everybody's day going? Mine's great. My opponent's got counter spells, and I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Yeah, Spawn, there were so many things that got us there. That was... But playing around Blood Moon, especially the way they're fetching, they may just flat out be Blue Moon. My Kingdom for a Breach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, may as well go for it. Wow. Opponent just has everything. Yeah, this is literally, we've drawn almost every, like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you're not wrong. I should have waited till end step. The problem was, it would have been the better play. Crumble to dust on Valakut. Flip and flip, 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 flip. Sure feels like it. Four, five, six, seven. Yeah, I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they got our Valakuts, so the only way for us to win now is Woodfall Primus and Prime Times. Trust me, opponent, you've seen most of our sideboard tech. On a positive note, our opponent has effectively taken our only top lands in the deck out. So any land we draw, we can cast as Woodfall Promise. Don't tell me you haven't. Oh, flippin' A. Seriously? Yeah, I've had enough of this game. Well, that was my sadism match of the day. Oh. But yeah, end stepping through the breach would have been correct. The problem was with it being Woodfall Primus in particular, is there was no guarantee we could untap and cast it with our mana situation. But yes, end stepping it would have been correct. All right. These are the kind of hands that are frustrating with Valakut. Like, if one of these was a fetch land or a green source, we could keep this hand, but this hand's just too risky. See, same thing. We don't have... Like, I'm going to keep, but we don't have a green source. And this is why... This is the biggest reason I ended up mulliganing so much with another blue deck. Seriously. I'm guessing... So, for those of you that were asking about the Storm matchup, it appears we're going to get the opportunity to find out how the Storm matchup is. Well, maybe not with Misty Rainforest. Okay. So, I didn't know we were in the... What is going on? 2 blue-red decks back to back? That's kind of annoying. Alright, Cinderglade. I think we just suspend Search for Tomorrow here. No sense in running it into their counters. Now, this is probably the breach version. Yep, definitely the breach version. Okay. They discarded a Blood Moon. That's not good. Why would you discard a Blood Moon against a Valakut deck? Seems loose. Unfortunately, in this matchup, I think it's theirs. See, the fact that they're getting rid of all these cantrips and whatnot, this is not a good thing. As well use one of the bolts upstairs. So we're not casting all these spells. See if they let this actually resolve. I guess we get Sakura Tribe Elder. See, I think they're sitting on Breach Emrakul and they're just missing a land, I think is why they're digging. It's the only reason I could see what the heck's going on over there is going on. Wow. I probably should exile that, but I actually want them to draw Emrakuls. Two, three, four, five. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four, five, 6. Yes, I'm very well aware of that. So they've literally had Breach and Emrakul. So is there anything we can grab here to live? Primeval Titan. I think it's GG, but I'm going through the math to make sure. Valakut. Valakut. No, actually, it's GG, they lose. As long as I can keep enough permanents. So 1, sack 1. No, actually, because I'm screwed up on mounts in here. I should have sacrificed this. I screwed up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we have enough permanents anyway? 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, if I would have sacrificed the Elder before letting the trigger resolve. Freaking A. Nothing like punting here. Because if I would have sacrificed Elder... No, Spreading Seas didn't get us. What got us was not sacrificing the Elder first. Because... No, the fact I have to sacrifice the Titan at the end of turn anyway. Titan that... That... And then... No, I punted. That's why we lost. Okay. Do you have the Snapcaster too? Alright. Now that I've punted as many ways as I can punt against control. I thought this was hump day, not punt day, but I guess punting it is. So we want the Rex Sage. We want the trackers. Relic. Bolts are kind of nonsense. Relic. It's not feels bad, it's just sequencing and punting. Probably want the scape shifts. Courser's fine against the tempo plan, but they're on the Through the Breach, take out our board plan. So what are we boarding out? Is it just the relics? Because they play the full 4 Snapcasters. Is that worth... Is it worth leaving that in? Probably take out at least 1 Through the Breach. 1 Spirit Guide, maybe. And just board out 2 of the relics. So we went from hump day to it being punt day, and then since when the hell has there been so many blue-red control decks? Yeah, sand's fine. They've got spell stare, they've got smell. Yeah, smell stare. Wow. This is why I don't get out of bed early in the morning, because I can't enunciate. Must be smells like opt or serum visions. Yep. Hey, it's a foiled serum visions. Hmm. So they want top. Oh, that's real reassuring. Okay, so we can throw off their math a little bit with this um so I guess I get stomping ground here. So next turn we're going to have to fetch up a forest either with the wooded foothills or the tribe elder, just so we have an out to Blood Moon. Um, for so tempting to go for it here. So tempting to go for it. So 4, 5. All right. So this opening looks like Blood Moon, smells like Blood Moon. So what we can do is either play Sakura Tribe Elder and play it safe and just continue the acceleration plan, or because of the Simian Spirit Guide, we can end step through the breach, get prime time into play under a counter spell if they Blood Moon, and then Rec Sage the Blood Moon and deal them a lot of damage, and then the follow up. Please just drop a Blood Moon on me, bro. Please Blood Moon me. Yes! Delicate. Oh, I didn't fetch a forest. Dear God! How many punts can I make here? Jeez. Yeah, a little late on that reaction. Hmm. Hmm. All right. So forest and fetch land. Hmm. Do you have cryptic command? Well, they couldn't cryptic command that fast enough, could they? Uh, so many puns, so little time. Hmm. Yeah, I think we're pretty much on a zero outer now. Uh, oh dear. Wow. How many ways can I set up a win and punt? Hmm. Because they don't care about our. They're not going to counter our. They literally 1000% don't care about our promise. They wouldn't have countered it. Hmm. They're more likely to just hold up the counter spell for prime time. So now we're getting punished for not fetching with the Elder. Reason I was holding the Summoner's Pack was in case we drew a Through the Breach, I could have gotten Primus. See, like I said, they literally don't even care about our promise. I understand what you were saying, but they don't care about me getting 2 forests. They hold their counter spells for things that could actually kill them. So this is an argument for having a third basic forest somewhere in the 75 to go grab Woodfall Primus. But as it is, I can't cast it. There's some argument for Tireless Tracker here. Oh, I agree you got to play to your outs, but you also got to understand what your opponent's likely to counter and what they're likely not to counter. Huh? Okay. I should have pacted for Tireless Tracker before this. And they've blown all their bolts. So alright, so now we have an end step through the breach for Primus, potentially. Have no other spells to cast this turn. So we gotta attack with Tracker here. So now that makes the Summoner's Pact thing that much worse. So now I think we're just on the Tireless Tracker beatdown plan. Need to get this out of bolt range. So now we're going to hold this clue in case they cryptic bounce the tracker here. I think they're digging for the combo, I'm guessing. Bottom, bottom. Well, yeah, let's crack our last clue. I don't think we have any outs, though. Alright, let's make sure you have the Emrakul before we scoop. Okay. So, take a moment to think. So, obviously that game was winnable. If I'd fetched for us before we threw the breach in response to the Blood Moon, then we were winning that game. If I would have Summoner's Pact for a Tireless Tracker earlier in the game, we might have won. But then again, they did use all those bolts. So I'm sure there was a window between when they used all those bolts and then the snap bolt, and where we could have gone and gotten Tireless Tracker and won that game in time. So despite the punts, because of the punts we lost. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But despite the punts, there were still other lines of play that I could have taken to have gotten the win earlier on. I was so concentrated on Woodfall Promise that I forgot about the Tireless Tracker backup plan until Basically, it was one turn too late. So, point of reference: whenever you're punting and making mistakes, you need to try to, yeah. To be fair, MCM Lucas or MFM Lucas, this is not exactly my 75. This is based off of somebody else's list. I play a whole bunch of modern decks, so I don't like sit and tune lists. But a second Rec Sage would make sense. Like maybe over the second Crumble to Dust, because I haven't seen a lot of Valakut mirrors lately. But to be fair, I didn't know that there were so many blue-red control lists running around. So, and actually Blood Moon, I did a whole series on Blood Moon decks on my YouTube channel and here on Twitch. And there were very few Blood Moon decks running around. Like I played maybe 2 or 3 Blood Moon mirrors out of like 60 or 70 matches with Blood Moon decks. But there is some consideration for second Reclamation Stage. There are some Titan Shift lists that have gone to a third Forest somewhere in their 75. Specifically for this reason, even though Forests are the most awful card to draw in your deck under most circumstances. But the Breach Titan list shaves on a land or two to run the Simian Spirit Guides. So it doesn't have as much flexibility with the mana base. That's why it also runs only 3 Valakuts instead of 4. But all these deck building things aside, let's be honest, if I had not punted, I would have won at least one game in both of those. At least that game 2 against this blue-red breach, I would have won. Simply on the back of, I had the right line. I knew what they were setting up. I had the right line. I just didn't fetch Forest before the Blood Moon came down. Once again, this was real life. You would probably catch that in response to the Blood Moon, but because this is Magic Online, you just kind of lose focus and don't make that move when you obviously need to fetch a Forest to play your Rec Sage the next turn for the game plan you're setting up. So, that was a punt. Very much a punt. We keep this hand, but it is sketch. Got an Accelerator on 1, Accelerator on 2. We have a Valakut. So, if we draw anything, like a Through the Breach, we draw Through the Breach, any of our other heavy hitters, this hand is excellent. Alright, well, Lightning Bolt is not the answer. Why has our opponent stopped during our draw step? You're a Tron deck. Why do you have a stop during our draw step? Thank you. Oh, that was difficult. Your Tron deck cannot have that many responses during somebody's main phase. Okay, so they're El Drizzle Trizzle, so they're a little less threatening, but still pretty scary. We need a Through the Breach ASAP. Yeah, and in this match, so they may have even played a Valakut deck last game, because Ghost Quarter draw step would make sense. All right. So I guess we hope our opponent doesn't have Thought Knot? It's probably too much to ask, right? Okay. So they went and got Tower. Spells Guide in the main. That's interesting. I haven't seen a Eldrazi list running. I have not seen any list running Spells Guide in a long time. Even Normaltron, I haven't seen them running. Even if this is Normaltron, I haven't seen anybody running Spellskite even in Normaltron lists in a while. It was only Big Tech when Infect and Splinter Twin were rather large forces in the meta. So I have a choice here, but because of how things set up, I'm going to breach the Primus rather than because of how this is worded, I can't redirect the Spellskite. Yeah, no, I understand. Okay. I understand that there has been a surge in Infect lately, and I've seen the list. Zanziad's list has been the catalyst behind a lot of it. And now you're going to see Woodfall Primus just do its... You want to see what Woodfall Primus is in the list? This is why Woodfall Primus is in the list. Because that happens. No, I don't think it was... I don't think it was Bluetron because I don't think the Bluetron lists run... I could be wrong. I haven't checked Shock Troopa's list lately, but I don't think Bluetron runs Sanctum. So they're either E-Tron or regular Tron. And I'm guessing Eldrazi Tron because E-Tron would have, or regular Tron would have played some type of one of their 1-mana. You would have seen either one of the Chromatic Spheres, Chromatic Stars, Ancient Stirrings, or something like that. I'm pretty sure that was E-Tron. So probably want Reclamation Sage. Corsair is kind of garbage in this matchup. Saying that about Corsair a lot, I've noticed. Okay, so if it is E-Tron, they've got ballistas, maps, basilisk collar, and chalice. Okay, chalice is chalice enough reason to bring in ancient grudge. I don't think chalice is that particularly well set up against us, but I will bring in at least one grudge. And then, actually, no, come to think of it, chalice is pretty good because it shuts off Summoner's Pact. So if I'm going on the assumption they are E-Tron, I'm going to go ahead and board like this. If they end up being regular Tron, we might want to bring in tireless trackers to fight them head to head, but I don't think that's a game we're winning anyway. It's very possible you're right. You're right, Zirians, but my money's on E-Tron. Sure, keep this hand. Not fantastic, but we keep it. Okay, nope, they're green Tron, you're right. You are correct, Zions. I apologize. Question is turn 4. So they're cracking map, which means they may not have... Okay, so they're green-white Tron, and they're not even going to have Tron until... Hmm. Play Valakut. 3, 4. Get to Mountain 6. Okay. So there's our chance they might have path here. Another ghostly prison. Alright, so 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so we'll have enough mana to pretty much kill them here. Get prime time. Reach. Prime time. Need to get a green source. Yes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we get Stomping Ground, Stomping Ground. No. No. Triggers. I'd like to kill my opponent. Yes, please. After the brain frying. I've still not seen Ghostly Prison on a Tron. Alright, so that. Opponent is thinking, although they are dead. So after all the brain frying moments of the last. Alright. So while we're waiting on our opponent, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in this morning. Feel free to hit that follow button if you like what you're seeing, punts and all. We also have a YouTube page where we've played a lot of standard and modern decks. Lately I've been on a Primeval Titan and Thoughtseize Inquisition kick in modern. Standard we've played a lot of various other decks. So feel free to check it out. The link is below the channel here. And okay, opponent is letting us proceed with our lives. And apparently they're going to make us kill them. And yes. Trigger 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I would like to play for this as attacker. Yes. Alright, two mountains. Call it a day. GG, well played, opponent. To be fair, they did not have Tron on 3. But, like I said, I'd like to apologize, Zions. I thought they were E-Tron just from the fact that they didn't play any baubles or anything. Excuse me, but it did look like they just kept an awfully clanker of a hand in games 1 there. I like to play first, yes. Alright, so what does this hand do? I think we keep. We have search on 1. Search on 1. Hour of Promise as a backup plan if we don't draw one of our fatties for Through the Breach here. Oh, burn. Yay. Deck I play all the time on paper might be a man doing this game. Okay, got a land off of it. That's positive at least. Alright, so what am I playing out here? Valakut. Play out Relic. Pass. This is where our forest may actually come back to bite us in terms of speed. This matchup usually comes down to a race. And it looks like Burn has one of their better draws. Well, I mean, at least it's getting us through our land pocket. Cast. Get a mountain. Draw another mountain. Draw another mountain. Very possible we could die here. They have one more spell, we're dead. We have a Sakura Tribe Elder on top, which we do not want to draw, so gotta fetch here, get a Stomping Ground tapped. I hate you. Moto, why? 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 Alright, well, let's run through the permutations. Cinderglade, 1, 2, 3 mountains. Nope. Like how you shuffle away a Sakura Tribe Elder and then Moto gives you another one because they think you want one. So this is the one matchup where our sideboard is very lacking. I think I'm missing a card in the sideboard that was supposed to be Thragtusk. I think I might be. It looks like I only have a 14 card sideboard. Wow, we're doing good. So bring in one of the Angers. Do I want to try to play the Tireless Tracker game? I don't think so. Beyond that, I think we just keep it as is. Alright. No green mana, mulligan. We'll keep it. It's not great. Don't want another land. So don't like shocking ourselves, but gotta play our spells on time in this matchup. Okay, Swift Spear. And we've got a game plan. I think it's just going to be too slow. But we really really couldn't afford to mulligan any lower. Sure. You'll not. Yep. So we could be dead on as early as turn 3 with their current draw. Alright, Search for Tomorrow is a card. Pass. Next turn we get to... Okay, I don't think there's going to be a next turn. Seriously? Well, that was anticlimactic. Molten Rain from the Burn player sideboard. Alright, so wrap up for E-Tron, or not E-Tron, Red-Green Breach. There were some punts in the control matchups. Not fetching the Forest in that game 2 against Blue-Red Breach definitely cost us a game. There was some sequencing in that further on in that game. I think there were some sequencing issues with not cracking my Sakura Tribe Elder against, was that the same match or was that the other match? There were some issues with not cracking Sakura Tribe Elder, I think, in game 1 of that match. Burn, I should have had a Thragtusk on the sideboard. In fact, I think... yeah, see, I even borrowed a Thragtusk. Didn't have it in the sideboard. Not that one Thragtusk would have saved me in that matchup, but at least would have given me something to draw to. I would have had an out on 5 lands that one turn in that last game. Green-Red Breach. One of the big things with these Titan Shift decks is a lot of the hands you mulligan are due to not enough green sources in the deck. I mean, that's the danger of running, 6 to 7 basic mountains and then some number of Valakuts. So in reality, even though you're running like 26, 27 lands, you only have okay, in this particular list, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have 16 green sources to draw to, which should be enough, but we mulliganed, what, probably a good 5 or 6 hands throughout those 5 matches for not having green mana. Beyond that, I mean, this version of the deck felt a little bit smoother than the last version I played of it. I definitely like having the Woodfall Promise in the main. A little bit of interaction in the main deck also helps. Spirit Guides are fine for what this deck's trying to do. The sideboard, probably got to get a second Rex Sage in here somehow. Maybe we cut a Crumble to Dust. Maybe we cut, I'm guessing Crumble to Dust is the most likely thing. Maybe the third Bolt. Maybe one of the relics, but probably a second Rex Sage. Definitely need that in here. We might want some number of Obstinate Balos over the Thragtusk. Simply because it comes down a turn earlier against Burn. Burn's just a horrible matchup for this deck, especially if they're hitting their reasonable draws. Because this deck can theoretically kill on 4. Burn can kill on 4, but Burn's more consistent at it. These Titan Shift and Valakut decks are mainly turn 4 Primeval Titan, so basically turn 4.5 kills at best. And Burn is a pretty consistent turn 4 deck, so I don't know how much you can afford to skew your deck around Burn. Beyond that, I mean, the deck's fine. Feels smoother than the other version of it played that didn't have Woodfall Promise in the main deck, which I think Woodfall Promise is a good out to a lot of the nonsense, and you see it just literally destroyed our Tron opponent whenever it got breached. So this is a good breach target. Beyond that, I think the list was fine. I still think Titan Shift's the more consistent deck. This deck's just more explosive, so between the various primetime decks, depends on if you want consistency or speed. So, don't know how else to wrap up from there. But that'll be it for the recording on